For more on how Australia's uproar is being received in China, let's go to our correspondent in Hong Kong, Britt Clennett. Britt, what do we know about when this all took place and why there was such a lack of transparency?
Well, this whole thing, Laura, has been shrouded in secrecy. We still don't know, Laura, when exactly it was signed, but this isn't unusual in China. In fact, it would be unusual if the details of the document were disclosed to the public, were disclosed on an open forum. It's far more likely that this document will be leaked by the Solomon Islands side. Of course, what this does is increase speculation. It increases distrust, and it also increases the likelihood that assumptions will be made and concerns as well. As we know, there are serious worries that this could open the door to China's first military base in the South Pacific, and an earlier leaked draft agreement would have allowed Chinese military personnel in the Solomon Islands. What we don't know, Laura, is how close this final signed document is to that leaked draft deal. That's what's fueling a lot of speculation and also raising a lot of concerns about what this deal will actually mean for the region.
What is Beijing's intention here?
Well, they have repeatedly said that the intention is not to target another nation, that this is a deal between the Solomon Islands and China. Let's have a listen to what Wang Wenbin, the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson, said earlier this week.
The cooperation aims to help the Solomon Islands maintain social order, respond to natural disasters, and carry out humanitarian assistance. It does not aim at any third party and will not replace the Solomon Islands' existing bilateral and multilateral security cooperation mechanisms. I really don't understand how this cooperation poses a serious risk to the United States. Does the United States regard island countries as independent, sovereign nations or its own appendages?
So there you have it, Laura. Very much an emphasis on maintaining social order. I think it's interesting when you look at what Chinese state media have had to say about it. And it must be said that all media in China is controlled by the state and censored as well. But if you look at the mouthpiece, the Global Times, it quotes observers but doesn't name what those observers are, as saying that Australia sent several threats to the Solomon Islands in the name of concern. It also said that Australia and the US is using the South Pacific, is using Solomon Islands to control the South Pacific, to increase competition there, and to contain China's peaceful, it said, development. So you can see this is a tale of two very different worlds. It paints a very different picture in China than the one we see back home and in the West.
Britt, concerns about Beijing go beyond this issue. There's been tension between Australia and China around China's human rights records. You, being in Hong Kong, have seen some of the city's freedoms deteriorate as Beijing's influence there grows. Is there a sense that things are going to get worse?
Unfortunately, there is, Laura, because even this week, Tam Tak-chi, who's a very popular radio host, who was very critical of the Chinese government, he was served a 40-month sentence and he still has to face national security charges at the end of this month. It sets a dangerous precedent, legal experts say, because it really deems what you can and can't say here in terms of your political ideas or what political slogans get uttered. And activists say it erodes the freedoms that are meant to be guaranteed in the basic law, Hong Kong's mini constitution, which was agreed upon when this territory was handed back from British rule to Chinese rule in 1997. And it comes in the context of this national security law, which was implemented in 2020 following the 2019 unrest. And since then, there's been a crackdown on many different facets of life in Hong Kong. The opposition has all but been silenced, and there's been a crackdown in the media and the legal profession as well. So the worry is that from July, there will be a new leader in Hong Kong, and it's a one-horse race at the moment. John Lee, the former security chief, runs at the moment unopposed, and he led the response to the 2019 protests. And there's a real concern that with his leadership will come a harder approach and a further crackdown here in Hong Kong. So there are ripples of concern that it's not over yet, and that considering John Lee and his approach, that the worst is to come.